How you doing, mate?
I'm good. The AC in my place decided to stop working today, so it is brutal in here.
Nice. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in LA right now.
Okay, nice. Mate, I have been cranking hot singles in your area since I got it. It's nuts. I didn't realize I was already a fan of yours because I've had the track Barbie and Ken on my play. I must have heard it a few years ago and fell in love with it, and then only just put two and two together. And I was like, oh, wait, this scene shit, this scene queen
That's
shit that I've been
crazy.
doing. Yeah, yeah. Um, the album is, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass as many people are going to be doing today, but it's strong as hell. It's like Bob Dylan's latest album. It's like every track is really, really strong. There's not a dud one on the album, so well done, mate.
Thank you. We actually had to cut, I think, like 5 songs from the like 20 that I had wanted to put out, and it was like devastating to me because also I wrote a concept album. So when you cut songs from a concept album, you're like, it's probably never going to see the light of day again. Like it's too niche of a song, but
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, like, because obviously with albums that are this strong, quality control is normally pretty strong. So you had five more tracks that you were willing to even put forward. Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, like, so with writing and stuff, I try and only write like 2 days at a time. I'm not one of those people that's like, let's do a 2 week long writing camp. So, like, I give myself enough time. Like, I'd probably do like 2 sessions a month for like the Scene Queen stuff with my producer, Zach Jones, that has done like the Bimbocore Volume 1 and 2, and then this album. But I try and space them out because I'm like, I need to have the like freshest mindset. And then any writing I'm doing in the interim time is just for like other artists and stuff because I like try and keep my hottest stuff for Scene Queen, I guess.
so you're a bit of a seer. You're doing lots of writing for different
I'm
artists.
I stopped for about like 2 years because like once the project started taking off, I was like, I really want to put 110% in my time into that, which I still do, but now that like things are happening a little more naturally and I can ease off being on the internet because I used to post like on TikTok when all this stuff was taking off like 3 times a day for like a whole like year and a half. And just like putting all of my energy into that. And now that like I have a little fan base going, I can kind of have more fun with the outside music stuff.
Yeah. Social media is exhausting, isn't it? It requires so much work, and it's the only way to
It
get your stuff out.
It's so funny because my significant other is in a band and like this is like the first they're about to put out an EP and like they went through some member changes, so it's just two of them now. And this is like the first EP where he's had to be fully in charge of the social media. And he was like, I never understood when I went to work why you were saying that you were like making a TikTok and you would do that for like 5 hours. I thought you were just like walking around doing random things in between. But like truly, it takes way more time than you would anticipate. But still, I would rather be doing that than a desk job, so I can't complain.
This is true. This is true. Mate, you got to work with one of my favorite bands, Wargasm. What was this like?
Yes. So Wargasm was one of the first bands that ever like took a chance on me, I guess you could say. They were the first band that ever take me out as a support role, and this was after I'd only had my first EP out. So they took me out as direct support on their like headline tour in the UK with like 6 songs out total. But they were just like, we really vibe with it, like we think this is cool or whatever. And then once I did a full length, I was like, I have to have my friends on there, but also we just listened to a lot of the same music. Like you can kind of tell like we just have similar influences in like the new metal stuff and then the pop sense. And so the collab just was super natural. And then on the song Oral Fixation, that song came first because Sam um was in LA because Milky was like back in Ireland for the holidays. And this was in like December of last year or like 2022. And he wanted to get in for a writing session. We wrote the song. He like shreds on Oral Fixation, which is why that's like one of the faster ones because like his added guitar riff just like speeds things up to 110%. But we had that session and I was like, this feels wrong. Like we need Milky in a session. So I loved that song, kept it, and then a few months later, like Milky came out to LA with him, and I was like, we have to do a track together. And yeah, Girls Gone Wild was born.
Nice. Mate, I, I'm struggling to think of what its competition might be, but is Finger the heaviest song ever about going down on someone?
I don't know, potentially, yeah. I'd say maybe if not, maybe like Limp Bizkit or something. Someone did something somewhere, or at least alluded to it. But I think mine mo might be like the most outright version of it. Like I very clearly say that's what it's about. Because Deftone talks a lot about going down on women, but I think like it's more alluded, and this is like very outright.
And the chorus is done in such a rhythmic way that you can almost like I mean you did a bit of it in a clip of just like synchronized dance moves to
Yeah, that song I didn't realize until I started playing it live is so fast. And I used to have it as my intro, like right after the song dropped, like it was the first song I would play in a set. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore because like the act of me running out onto stage and then also being nervous, I like cannot breathe that entire song. Like I have to put it farther into the set. So it got moved around, but like my band loves that song, which I think is hilarious because I have like my drummer and guitar player are both like men, straight men. So it's like a song about, going down on a woman from a woman's perspective. But they're like, this is so sick and it's so fast.
yeah. Well, I mean that's I guess that's definitely a from a fan's perspective as well. A lot of the tracks on this. To say that not only is it not about men, men are a lot of the time, subject of criticism and the thing, and I'm still banging my head to it while going, yeah, we are pieces of shit, you're right, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The first song on the album, BDSM, which like, means beat down slut metal, but it also means big, dumb, stupid men. I put that on there because when I put out like Pink Push-Up Bra and 18 plus, I was getting like all these comments from men that were like, I would like Scene Queen more if she wasn't such a man hater. And like the songs that they were referring to are like a very specifically targeted, like, I don't like men that are predators. So I'm like, if that's the bar for man hater, like I'm man hater number one. So I put that in there as the opening track because I'm like, if that's genuinely what you're gonna think and not get the sense of humor and like the satirical bit of all of this, like you're not gonna like the rest of my record anyway. Might as well put it in track one. And then it's funny because the last track is like a love song to my boyfriend. I'm like, you will not get that payoff. Like,
I love that. Yeah, I love the logic. It's like here's a song about pedophilia. Well, this song is clearly about me, and I don't like it.
I know. And that was the thing too, like with 18 plus, I wrote it to be so vague and I even put on the song like if the shoe fits, and it was crazy once that song came out, like just, you know, managers bickering behind the scenes about things being like, why who is this about? Like blah blah blah, this is pushing too close to whatever. And I'm like, I don't know why you think it's about you. Like interesting that you would say that. Like
Well, I love the fact that you've beeped the song the band name, but it doesn't matter because it's so common. I can literally
that's the
think of right
thing.
now like 10 different bands this could be about.
And that's why it's brilliant. And literally, if you were to like actually bleep my vocals, I say in the track bleep, bleep, bleep. So like I knew that it was gonna be like I left it broad enough because I knew that it was like a scene wide issue. And I'm like, that's kind of the brilliance of it all is like if you can't pinpoint the exact band, then clearly it's a bigger issue.
Do you think we're because obviously this has been an issue that and I think it's in this track where you're like all of my idols are fucking losers. I'm paraphrasing here. Um,
Yeah.
but it's so true. I mean, even going back to now, look, in order to avoid, having super fans coming at me, we'll just say some of the biggest bands in music history have had,
Mhm.
flat out pedophiles.
Yeah.
And we're still dealing with this now. Do you think we're still going to be dealing with this in 20 years, in 30 years? Or do you think this
I
generation's kind of getting it?
I think we're always going to have terrible people in the world, regardless of what we try and do. But I think now more than ever, the scene is like, I guess, has a higher standard for what's acceptable. So if it does happen, like, people will know about it right away and hopefully do something about it. And that's the thing too, is like I try and attract the fan base that I wish I was a part of growing up, like where they're all looking out for each other in the crowd and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you could always have a weird bartender at the venue. Someone could walk in that isn't a fan. Like you never know. But it's just like, I guess, creating a community where you know that like there's a higher standard. So when something and if and when it does happen, that it's taken care of, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You're like, and it's something that I think of a lot as I'm raising a daughter. You know, I have a daughter who's
Hmm.
9 years old, and I'm wondering what kind of world, yeah, what kind of world she's going to grow up in. Because I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, and you know, this is, man, almost got whiplash from just the amount that the world has changed in the time that I've been alive. Like, uh,
It's true. And that's honestly like, I think one of the coolest things of this project, obviously my music is very vulgar. So like 99% of the time, it's like a mom coming to my show and be like, one day, my daughter, I hope she comes to your shows, but I'm thankful that like she's going to grow up in a scene that is like this. And I'm like, yeah, I hope she one day comes, not soon though, like to the show.
I have in the past had a thing where I'll get my daughter to come in and ask a question to you know to female musicians, and it's usually really adorable and nice. But I thought I'm gonna skip it just this one time.
Yeah, I don't know that the album title and all of that, like, that's the thing though. Sometimes people do come to my shows with their kids, and I'm like, I get like I don't know. I think eventually kids are going to hear swear words. Like I think about me growing or like becoming a parent one day and I'm like, I don't know that I will like be able to stop swearing. Like they're accidentally going to hear it all the time. And I feel like that doesn't bother me as a pro. I'm like, it's so sexual. Like cover their ears. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's as a parent, it is like I've heard my daughter say "f*** a few times, and it never stops being weird. I don't know whether I'm
Yeah.
gonna be used to it, but it's not now. Now I'm like, no, no, stop
Yeah.
that.
It's
Hey,
true.
what plans do you have to tour Australia?
I may or may not be doing a headline tour in September. So
Oh, has this
I
been?
know.
When's this coming out?
I think like this week after the album comes out. So this isn't exclusive, but it's fine. I mean, it's so close together that like,
So if I was to run this tomorrow, I wouldn't get in trouble?
that I am unsure, but
I will ask Dave.
yeah,
All right.
that's a fair question.
Cool. I like it. Mate, this is fantastic. Now, hey, a question of wanting the scene to be safe for everyone. I'm assuming a scene Queen scene a show is going to be like 70% women.
Mhm.
Is it acceptable for a 6'7" giant like myself to be in the mosh pit, or am I going to have to do what I did at a Red Hook show last year and literally like go down on one knee at the front of the stage so I didn't block everyone's view?
Aw, that's that's really wholesome though that you thought about that. I always feel bad for people that are tall because I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, I get that like the person behind them is like not gonna be able to see anything, but I'm like, you can't shrink. But no, I think honestly, it's cool when there's men in the pit that like are looking out for the women in the pit. Because for a lot of girls that come to my show, they always tell me after, like, this is the first time I've ever felt safe enough to go into the pit. And that's the thing, is just like, you're allowed in the pit. It's like the crowd killing and all of that that make women feel unsafe. It's not the pushing aspect. I don't think they really care that much if like men bump into them, you know? It's that they get like nervous when they're in a mosh pit and there isn't this sort of standard, and then they're afraid that they're going to get groped and whatever. So like I'm all for seeing men in my pits. I do like at one point for Pink Push-Up Bra because I wrote that song specifically for women to take their power back. I'm like, I want to see the girls in the mosh pit. And usually it just ends up being an all-girl mosh pit, which is kind of fun because then it's a bunch of guys on the edge being like, back it up, and like starting the barrier, which is cool too. But yeah, I'm pro guys in the pit. I don't care.
No, I like it. Mate, speaking of have you heard of Red Hook? They're an
Yeah,
Australian.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so were you tracking recently what's happened with their song Cannibal?
No.
Okay, so Cannibal was a song that Emmy wrote about blowjobs. A plus effort, why not? But they did a video and it got censored by YouTube or it got complaints and they had to pull it back and put forward a censored version. Now, I wonder, have you had similar fights with censors in the past, seeing as I was literally just watching you singing into a pink jelly dildo on the MILF video?
See, that's the thing is like, am I really or was it censored is the question. But no, there was a long amount of research done for that video where we're like, what is allowed on there? And I'm like, phallic shaped images are allowed because they're not like real, but we had to be very careful about the like flesh tone of it all. And like, it had to be like see through and everything to like make sure it didn't look too realistic. And that was the difference. But yeah, there's also those so I have like the gigantic one, and then the little dancers have these actual like little handgun ones that make me laugh every time. And like if you don't know to look for them, it's like such a quick shot that you don't notice. But like they pull them out of their holsters, and it is really entertaining.
I like it. Do you have any ideas as to who is going to be coming out with you on? So, for example, when we are allowed to mention this Australian tour, have you got any supports announced?
I don't know if we've locked in anyone yet. We've definitely sent out offers. I try and take as many women and queer people as possible as support. And then like last minute if things don't line up, like I'm not opposed to taking men. I'm not gonna like, if men want to help the conversation again, like it's important to because in general in music, women and queer people are still a minority. So like I don't want to shy away from anyone that can be like amplifying my message, you know what I mean? And like the message is inclusion. So at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm not opposed to having guys, but I try and take out as many women and queer people as possible because I feel like they need the most immediate support in the industry. So we'll see who that ends up being in Australia. And hopefully someone cool. Well, I know it's gonna be someone cool, but
Awesome. Hannah, this has been great. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to finally meet you. And congratulations on the album. And you will be seeing this big giant in the pit, pushing but not too hard, very, very soon. So see you then,
I
mate.
look forward to seeing you in Australia.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.